Hello and welcome. This is Kishkisan, and today I'll be talking about a purple green token deck. So this deck is very similar to the deck that I featured in my previous video. It's a token deck, but with the same core for the token support as the orange purple one, with the juiced, the racers, and the hotel barkeeps, as well as the night markets. However, this version is a bit different. In comparison to the orange purple build, there aren't a lot of synergies to make use of with the tokens, like turning the tokens into zealots, like the orange purple token deck. But green benefits a lot from having home field advantage. The home field advantage is is similar to juiced in many ways, uh, and it allows us to buff all these tokens. And the difference between this and juiced is that this is an enchantment, and so it's permanent, unlike juiced. So we can always keep playing the our tokens on the enchantment and then lanes next to it and have them buffed. And there aren't really a lot of the synergies uh, bet- within green, like the zealots in orange. There is the canines, but they haven't really felt impressive in this build. It was really the original build. It utilized the canines for the green, but it was obvious that canines really needed some blue, and it would be very difficult to play green, blue, and purple in the same deck. With this idea, it feels like the deck would be trying to do too many things and ending up not doing any of these things. So, with us playing Reconstruct and the night markets, we can really fill the board very easily. We could have Leshy Green be really significant. It can be a 7/7 if we have a full board, which is not very difficult in this deck. We only need some Ramens and excess mana, and we can just keep flooding the board with tokens. And we are encouraged to flood the board because of the home field advantages, the juiced, and the payoff for that is the Leshy Green, and the opponent just is not going to be able to deal with everything. So, for the one drops, we're playing the House Elf and the Vodnik Informant, and the main reason for playing the Vodnik Informant is really because it's a 2/2. So, with Coliseum, it can become a 3/3, and that's very difficult for the opponent to deal with. And the House Elf is really nice as well to get in some burn damage. The Canine Handlers are very nice to find the Volkov Heavy, because we don't really care about the 2/2 bodies as much as we care about the draw. And drawing the Volkov Heavy is definitely a nice draw. The home field advantage, as mentioned, is the payoff for playing tokens. Let Astray is very nice against a lot of the early game blockers, and the Leshy Green is our payoff for playing all these tokens. And another difference between the orange purple and this build is that this build is not that invested into synergies, so it can afford to play a lot more purple. And there are a lot of nice minions from purple that we can include that are very synergistic with Coliseum. The back channel captain and the battle chef. The battle chef item is very nice to allow us to keep snowballing the buffs on our one drops. Having a one drop as a 3/3 from playing on the draw with the Coliseum and then buffing it with a walk shield can really just snowball the game on its own. And following that up, of course, with the home field advantage and the juiced, and we can clearly just get a very scary one drops from just these two or three cards. Night Market feels a bit weird in this deck, I'll be honest, but it's kind of necessary for the grindy games, as we can just keep getting a ton of value from the Night Market. The Hotel Barkeeps provide us with the Ramens as well. Back Channel Captain. is nice to because of the ability to deal 3 damage, and the captain's hat. We can usually just use it on one of our tokens, and we guarantee a draw from that almost always. So that's the deck, and I'll go over a couple of games with this deck. It's a really fun deck, and I'll hope you enjoy the deck as much as I do. So the first game is against Sifu, and he's playing a deck that gave me a lot of trouble. Um, so we're playing Colosseum, and we're on the draw. So we always want to play. This is why we play these 1 mana 2/2s. They become 1 mana 3/3s, and just put a ton of pressure. And having the Night Market to play on two, it wasn't really a play that I would do against a slower color. I mean, against a faster color. But since this is yellow, I know that game is gonna be a little bit grindy. And the opponent plays the code equipment here, which doesn't really matter much. And just keep playing my stuff. And we're getting the ramens, and we can just keep flooding the board when the opponent, when we have the juiced or when we have the home field. And the Venom Fang was really annoying here. There was really no way to deal with it right now, and I didn't want to trade into it. I think perhaps just trading into it would have been enough, but I'm not really sure. And here, this positioning was to force him to impel and waste mana on the impel to blast, or if he wanted to, just keep the block, or just pay mana to deal with the things over here. And he chooses to impel, which I don't think, which probably is fine. And this Venom Fang is very annoying here. And we're getting ready to play the back channel captain, but first we need to play to. I think here we play the Volkov Heavy, as I really want to risk having one of these die, and the Volkov Heavy is just more damage. And I wanted to play the back channel captain and have the draw on the same turn that I play it. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the opponent has the corrode equipment here, so he deals very nicely with the Volkov Heavy. But the opponent is really down on cards. We're also down on cards, but all of these ramens are really just tokens. They're waiting to be buffed somehow. And this here is just one of the worst things that this deck basically cannot deal with, the Strigoi Pota. And this is where the game becomes really interesting, and the main reason I'm showing off this game. Well, we can see that I have an almost full hand, but my deck is pretty bad with all these virulence trains, and it's getting worse with the Centrifuge being protected by the Sea Lord's Trident. And the Sea Lord's Trident can just keep generating these Krakens and sacking them to the Strigoi Prota, and the Strigoi Prota would just have Immortal forever. And we don't really run any hard removal to counter this. So we're really just racing here. There's nothing we can do except to minimize the amount of healing the Strigoi Prota can do and race as much as we can. We have the Lettuce Ray to clear out any of the small stuff that try to block, but we really need the buffs for our tokens. We can really flood the board with tokens at any point here with all these ramens, and yeah, but the virulent strains are really going to hurt us a lot, and we find the home field advantage and the juiced, which is very nice, and we also can draw here, and maybe it was correct to just go face here. But yeah, I definitely should have gone face instead of moving the Gamma in, which was a misplay on my part. But I didn't really want him to just have a free trade. Would at least have to play to spend 2 mana for the Impel. And it really depended on what he was going to draw. If he drew a twins, I'll be very sad. But luckily for us, that the opponent is top decking and you just keep flooding the board. And I didn't really feel the need to didn't really feel the need to play my tokens now, as I can always play them next turn and buff them. But actually, I think that playing them this turn was correct. Would have been better, as the opponent was really top decking and there was nothing really to be playing around. I mean, Magmator would have the Magmator draw is very unlucky, but the opponent already has to spend 2 mana for the Impel and 2 mana to play the Kraken and sack the Kraken and then play a second Kraken to block. So the opponent isn't really having the easiest time here to get to play a 5 mana minion. So the opponent is effectively down 4 mana every turn, and I can force him to spend more by having my threats on that side. So he's always going to be having to move his Strigoi Prota from that side to that. And we'll see the Strigoi Prota makes a march to the other side and tries to come back. But yeah, it's the game is just beginning, and we're quite low at 14, and the opponent is going to heal for a ton. And I think here I should have prioritized face damage than doing that. And this all stems from the misplay from last turn, from not playing the tokens. If I had played the tokens here and buffed them, would have pushed 9 face damage instead of just 3. But yeah, the virulent strains are just becoming are going to be a lot of an issue here, because as you can see, my deck size is increasing with all the virulent strains that are shuffled in them. The Divine Compass is really nice to counter that. And yeah, we're just drawing virulent strains, and this is looking very bleak for us. And even the Yana virus here is very sad to see. But yeah, the Forge Canine Handler can draw us the Volkov Heavy, which is very strong, and I think this was also a misplay. The Volkov Heavy should have gone on the right, as yeah, this is exactly what he can do. And the Volkov Heavy here is just dead, which is which is really the second misplay this game. But really, this is a ton of pressure, and I was not sure if the Canine Handler would draw us a second Canine Handler or a Volkov Heavy. But I think the positioning anyway should have been the Volkov Heavy on the night market. And yeah, there is not much that I can do here except hope that he impels all the way there so that I can start playing on that side. But the opponent is just at 17 and we're at 18, and he's gaining all the life. And we find the Leshy Green here, which is nice. I missed one buff, and I used the Ramen unnecessarily, as as I already had 4 excess mana. And the Lattice Tray here is a very nice draw, as we can just clear out anything that stands in front of the Leshy Green. We have here a ton of damage to push. This is 6 plus 7 plus 2, that's 15 damage. So we're actually setting up lethal. With the Lattice Tray, the Strigoi Puta will not be able to be at 2 places at the same time. So this positioning means that the Strigoi Puta has to kill this and leave this for you to go face. And of course, the opponent is having very bad draws as well, similar to our draws with virulence trains. So this is really weird game. I wouldn't expect a game to ever be like that. And I think here I should have just moved the tokens to that side and played the Battle Chef here. And after he impels, I would have access to this lane. But yeah, this was a ton of pressure really, and I wasn't really sure what to do most of the time. I think now that I'm looking at the game afterwards, it's easy to spot these misplays and critique myself, and that's part of the learning process with this game. But these plays are not very easy to come up with when you're faced down with a 7/4 that's immortal and healing every turn for 7, and we're just trying to minimize the amount of healing that he gets, and yeah, and the opponent, as we mentioned, is unable to do a lot of stuff because he has to spend a lot of mana for the Strigoi Puta to give him immortal and impel him. And yeah, the opponent is tries to block like that. And yeah, I think with the Racer draw here, we actually have lethal if we trade this way. And with that Stray, the Serpent, and we have 7 plus 4 damage from the two Racers, and that's lethal. And this is a very weird game I featured because we played a ton of tokens, and against any other minion, we would have easily won, but the Strigoi Puta was really carrying so hard. And I really like the Strigoi Puta. I featured him in a previous deck, which wasn't very serious, my Rainbow Tango. And I really plan to play with him a lot more. It's a really fun card. It's really nice. And this game is just showing the night market being used to generate all these tokens and all that value when we were really just not drawing anything really because of all the virulence strains and the opponent just controlling the board so effectively, but with only one minion, he's not able to control the entire board. So yeah, that was a very cool game. Uh, and that was a very cool game. And yeah, I'll go over the second game now. And so the second game is again against Nier, who also played against me in the previous video when I was on orange purple tokens. So it'd be nice to see how. And he's playing the same red orange that he played last time. So it's nice to compare these two decks together and see how both of them fare against red orange. And the decks are different enough that I'm not really sure if I'd be favored or not. And it's not really enough data to tell if we are favored or not, just playing against one red orange deck. But it just shows that the deck can at least find its way through. So again, we're on the draw, which is always something we are very happy about with the Colosseum, and the house elf on the draw is just 2/4, which is insane. Like the 2/4 is just nothing can basically come next to the house elf as a 2/4 for the first 4 turns, perhaps. And we take it slow as well. We don't have a 2 drop, and we can't really attack because of the right trickster. Right trickster is a really big pain in the behind, as we don't really have a way to deal with him other than rush. It would be very sad to have to let us stray here, and we're playing. We were forced to play that tracer, and we floated 2 mana, which is not very good. Any opponent plays the Jazari Archivist, which is always a very good target for Let Us Stray, which we do exactly that. And yeah, the house elf is just surviving for 4 turns, and the opponent just doesn't have a way to deal with it, except with the Wings of Abaddon. Now that the opponent finds it, but the house have just dealt a ton of damage with every swing that the trapeze made. We're at we're at a very similar life total, and the opponent is nearly out of cards, and that's not something you usually see with red orange, as they have a ton of draw. And I didn't really want to let the opponent get any draw here, and it was sad to see the Oak of Dodona, but the draw with the Ladistray was very lucky, and we can use the back channel captain's ability to kill off that Abaddon and just start setting up our tokens, playing the barkeep and playing the ramens. And this is where I played the ramens, unlike my previous game where I was a bit more conservative with them. Here, with seeing the opponent only has one card in hand, I didn't really mind playing into a trapezist, and the opponent plays the Serapis, which is always very scary for an aggro deck like ours, as the healing is really significant for the Serapis. And we don't really have a way to deal with the Serapis here. And the right trickster effect doesn't really matter to me much. And this is just showing the home field advantage as well as the juiced here. We're just controlling this side of the board, absolutely controlling this side of the board. Even a Magmator just doesn't kill everything. And the opponent is dead here with the Dark Passenger draw. There's nothing that the opponent can do. And this shows the, the token as a blocker was very nice, as at worst case scenario, the opponent would have to trade into it and just heal one life. And yeah, this is lethal, I believe, because of the Racer and the Squire Bike. So yeah, this is a game against Red Orange where I did fairly well, and it's always nice to see a deck do well against Red Orange, as Red Orange is really one of the strongest decks in the game right now. I mean, Red Orange has always been the strongest deck, but having something to play against Red Orange and still feel competitive while at the same time not a common strategy employed on ladder. It's always refreshing to see, and I'm always happy when I'm able to beat Red Orange with a new deck, as it tells me that there's really something nice at the core of the deck. And this is the case here, as well as the previous Orange Purple tokens. So this is a really fun archetype that I really hope that it gets further reiterated on. These are my attempts at the decks as token decks, and perhaps we can take the decks to a lot more directions, perhaps slower directions. And I believe some players prior to me making the videos had already reached champion with a yellow purple token deck. It also played Sanguine Seal. It's a very cool deck. I'll try a similar build in the future, perhaps. But yeah, this is it for the video for now. And if you enjoyed the video and the discussions, and please leave a like and subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions regarding the deck or any suggestions for future decks to be featured on the channel, please try to reach me through Discord or leave the suggestions in the comments below. And yeah, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.